What is going on, YouTube people? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here today for a little topic I like to call sometimes you just have to sell for a loss. I've talked about this particular instance on numerous live streams and mentioned it in videos before, but I felt like the thought process needed its own dedicated video because this is a question I get very frequently. Should I sell X card? When should I sell X card? I'm upside down on X card. Should I sell it or should I hold? So in this case, I'm going to walk you through a very particular example that I had about 2 months ago and how I handled it, what the thought process was. And maybe it'll help you, maybe it won't. I don't know. But I think it's a perfect example of how sometimes you just got to take it on the chin and move it, and how you could sometimes still make that work for you. So, with all that being said, YouTube nonsense down below, like, comment, subscribe, and let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to use a Star Stock example today. So, we're going to be playing in Star Stock a little bit. If you're not on Star Stock and want to check it out, there's a promo code down below. You get 10, I get 10 for a new sign up. I highly recommend the platform, it is absolutely fantastic. So we're going to use Star Stock for this example because that is where it happened, and the rebound happened all on that platform as well. So back in March, so we're going to go back in time about 2.5 months, I had the brilliant idea. Houston had just signed Tyrod Taylor, and they had 3 viable quarterbacks on the roster. This was back when Watson was very rumored to be traded. And I said, you know what? I think he's going to get dealt. And I think when he gets dealt, his card prices will go nuts. They'd already gone crazy. They had cooled off a little bit as we had gotten further away from that rumor, but then it was kind of picking up again. And I said, screw it. Let's just pull the trigger on this. So I bought a Watson PSA 10 Silver Prism for $1,250. I am not kidding you. The next morning, the allegations come out about the massage parlor stuff, or maybe it was a day after. It was within a day. It was within a full 24-hour period. All that nonsense started coming out. And at first it was, oh, I mean, we all know there's something going on, but we're not really sure what. How bad is this? And then all of a sudden, within like another day, it started getting a lot worse. His card prices started going down, not on Star Stock, but just in general, like in market movers on eBay. eBay comps were getting lower and lower by the day. The news kept getting worse and worse. So I had a decision to make. There was an open buy offer on Star Stock for $900, and it had been sitting there for a few days. Actually, a while. I think it was there when I bought this one. And I was worried that offer was going to go away at any time, and then I was going to be stuck with this card. So I sat down and I looked at it. I said, okay, I got $1,250 into this. I could sell it right now for $900. Take the $350 hit on the chin and just move on to the next thing and be done with it. Or I ride this out. So riding it out is going to mean I have this money tied up in this card for an undetermined period of time. Like I said, at this point in time, the news was not so great. This was still the first few days of all this coming out. And I said to myself, if I sit on this, if I'm going to wait, I may have to wait a year. There was a chance that he could get this. Once again, this was before a lot of the news came out. There was a chance that he could get cleared. And maybe he plays this season, still gets traded, all this and that and the other thing. But in reality, I was thinking his best case scenario was he basically misses this season because of all this, and then he comes back next year. So now this means I'm riding this roller coaster for essentially a year at least, and maybe longer, like a year and a half. Because this is early March. The season doesn't start till September, late August. Around draft time the following year. So I'm talking about a year plus at least that I would have to sit on this. And then that's assuming he gets cleared and then gets traded and then gets a price bump. And what's the odds it gets above $1,250 for me to actually make a profit on this thing? What's my best case scenario there? Does he come back and it goes to 600, 700, 800, maybe 1,000, maybe 1,100? Because that's the thing. I needed to get back over 1,250 to make a profit. So I weighed all that. And I think that's the key part of all this is when you're going to sell, have a plan. Now, in this particular case, my plan was to just get the money back and get off the card as quickly as possible. I did not have another play in mind. Normally, under normal circumstances, uh, the answer to your question, should I sell, should be, what am I going to do with the money? Are you just going to sit on it? Do you have another play that you want to make? Whatever. In my case, what I wanted to do with the money was have liquid funds available on Star Stock. Because at this point in time, I had money tied up in a lot of other stuff. So I only had a few $100 to play with. And I usually like to keep about $1,000 active on Star Stock just to be able to go in and make quick flips on players if the opportunity presents itself. Sometimes it just sits there for a week and I don't buy a single thing. And there's other weeks where I churn and burn stuff just depending on what's going on in the world. That's been less so lately with the market being down. So I sat there and said, all right, the $900 offer was still there. I think I just got to take it and eat this one. So you can see here, I bought this card on 3/16 for $1,250. I sold it on 3/19 for $900. I don't even know that the guy wanted to buy the card. At this point, eBay comps were around that price. They had dropped down to around 900-ish with the news coming out. And this is the danger about leaving open offers on Star Stock. When I put offers in on cards, I never usually leave them for longer than a night. Like I'll put them up before I go to bed, and then when I get up in the morning, before I go into work or right after I get home from work, I usually pull them because I don't want to run the risk of a serious injury happening to someone or something like this happening. And then, someone runs through and accepts a bunch of offers and I get screwed. So I am very quick about pulling offers down. And that's more serious offers. If you're just throwing lowball offers out there, it's kind of whatever. But if you're like putting a serious offer in on a card that you're kind of hoping that they accept, that seems relatively fair based off current comps, I don't want that just hanging out there because, as we all know, these things change on a daily basis. That's a very Star Stock specific thing. So, anyways, not more than 3 days later, I take a $350 hit on this card. Great. Cool. Fantastic. But, them the breaks sometimes. Not every play wins. You're going to take some losses. I don't care how good you are at this, and this has nothing to do with the downturn market or anything like that. Just in general, sometimes we're going to get it wrong. I'll give another example of all this after I wrap this one up, a more recent one. So, I take the hit, I get the $900 back. Now I have the $900 as liquid money to be able to do stuff with. Because the other thing where most of my money was tied up in this time was football. I had a lot of money like in Baker Mayfield stuff graded, some Daniel Jones, Dak Prescott, a bunch of stuff. And I didn't want to just sell that stuff because a lot of it I had just recently picked up a couple months previous. And, I wanted to hold that stuff into the summer. So I didn't want to just sell it to free up funds when this was just the easier path. So I take the $900. And for full reference, if we look at the Star Stock sale history on this card, here's where I bought it at $1,250. On the 16th, the next day, someone sold one for $1,150. That's when the news first came out. Then 2 days later, I sell mine for $900. And then the next one sells not until May 19th for $490. And that's about what this card is going for now. They fluctuate between $400 and $500 on eBay. Now, I could have pulled the card off platform, worst case scenario, and sold it on eBay. Star Stock sometimes is always not the most liquid thing, especially on non-hot players. So that could have been an option as well. I could have pulled it off there, but now I'm losing even more. Say I pull it off there, sell it on eBay for $500. Now I got to eat the eBay 13% fee instead of the Star Stock 5% fee, plus the shipping home and all that other nonsense that's involved with it. And then I got to risk potentially an eBay return because of all the nonsense that's going on with him. So this was just the simplest path. Take the $900 and run. Now, what did I do with the $900? Not much initially. I sat on it. But because I had that money, When Ronald Acuna Jr. went off that second week of the MLB season, I believe that it was, I was able to go make a play because I did not have that money tied up in the Deshaun Watson asset. So MLB season starts up. Acuna goes nuclear that week. I've also talked about this particular instance on the channel, but I don't think I've ever tied the two together. Because I sold that Watson, I now had money in my account plus a little bit. So I went out and bought the Acuna Bowman Chromes firsts. I bought one for $440 on the 12th. He continued to go crazy. This card was selling on eBay for 500 plus, 550, 575, and they were sitting on Star Stock for 450. I even made a post about it. I said I went and bought more. They're still sitting there. And then some other people swooped in and bought some up. But they were readily selling on eBay for 575 to 600 plus. And they were sitting on Star Stock for 450. When cards get hot, graded PSA 10s sometimes sit on Star Stock because a lot of the people on Star Stock are playing more on the budget end of things, which is perfectly fine. It's a great platform for that. But sometimes these things get kind of forgotten about because there's not as many big wallets on the platform. Not that I have a big wallet, but there's just not a lot of as many plays made on the mid to higher priced graded cards on Star Stock. So you can find deals sometimes when prices take off because people don't adjust. They forget about them. So regardless, I had the $900 plus a little bit because this is obviously close to 12 to 1300. But because I had that 900, I was able to buy 3 of them instead of just 1 of them. If I did not sell the Watson, I would not have been able to buy 3 of these. I would have only been able to buy 1. So that leads us to the next thing. A week later, they're still selling for an astronomical sum of money. You can ignore this Topps Chrome. Acuna just came up on the search. This was from way early on. So I posted these 2 for sale. I sold 1 for 600 and 1 for 590. So I took a $350 hit on the Watson by selling it for 900. But because I had that money, I made it back up on this end. I didn't come out quite to 350, but I probably made back about 275 to 280 after fees there, maybe a little bit less than that. But I made most of it back because I had that money from the Watson sale to be able to make the next play. In addition to that, you could see I only sold 2 of them. I had the third one shipped home. So because I sold the Watson, I was able to get most of the money back on that loser and an Acuna first Bowman that I had sent home. Because essentially I used the money from the 2 that I sold there to cover the costs of the third one. And I decided to just keep that one and had it sent home. But like I said, I would not have been able to make that play. I'd have been able to buy 1 of them. And that's it. And if I only bought 1 of them, I would not have had it sent home. I would have sold it on platform and taken the $100 to $150 profit on it. And that's it. Now you could say, hey, you probably would have been better off selling the third one for 600 or 575 or whatever they were going for, because that card has come back down since. But I like the idea of holding an Acuna first Bowman Chrome for the longer term. I like Acuna as a player. The baseball market is fairly safe and stable compared to like the basketball market right now. And the first Bowman is one of the safest base cards you could probably have for him besides the bat down. It's relatively medium population count. So I netted that out of the deal, in addition to essentially washing away the sins of the Watson play. So sometimes you just got to eat it. You know, they don't always work out. Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and sell it for the loss and move into the next thing. Now, I usually like to say have a plan for what the next thing is. This was a case of the plan was get out of it as fast as humanly possible because the writing was on the wall on where the situation was headed. So I just needed to get the money back. whatever it is that I could get, the max value that I could get back out of the card, and because I knew that it was going to keep going down. And I think you're seeing that in the current marketplace with the race to the bottom on LeBron. People are saying, okay, yeah, his Topps Chrome's down from 20K to 14 or 15K now in a PSA 10. A lot of people are saying, why are you selling this? Because they're probably looking at it from a seller perspective of, this card could go to 10K or less. Let me get 15 out of it, 14 out of it, and just be done. I could always buy it back later. Maybe it doesn't go down as much as I thought, but that's their risk reward scenario there. Plus, we don't know what they were into it for. They could be selling at 14K at a loss, or maybe they're still 3Xing because they bought it at 4K last year. Who knows? We don't know that. But I hope this kind of maybe helps. I don't know. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't. But this was kind of my thought process for this very specific situation. Normally, in a normal situation where there's not these extenuating circumstances going on, my first question would be, when someone asks me, should I sell, is what are you going to do with the money? Like I said, in this case, what I was going to do with the money was just getting the money back, and getting the money back to be liquid, to make another play, to have cash on hand, to be able to buy something else, is a perfectly fine use for that, as long as you're going to put it into play and not just sit on it. That's the key. Let me talk. We won't go into a big deep dive on this one, but another example of this where I did not sell, but a semi similar situation, a little bit different because it wasn't off the field issues that caused this. I bought the 3 Donovan Mitchells on eBay right before he got hurt. It was a PSA 10 Prism and 2 PSA 10 optics for what I thought at the time was a good deal. I got all 3 for $850, which was basically right. I did not pay over comps. In fact, I probably got it slightly under. It basically put the Prism at like 425 and the 2 optics at about $200 a piece, which is slightly less than what they were going for. It was all one big lot that sold at auction. And I got him in, and the next day he got hurt. The day I got him delivered, he turned his ankle. This was about a month or so ago. And he was out for the rest of the season. Obviously, he was going to come back for the playoffs, but they instantly dropped about $100. The Prism went down to 325, and the optic went down to 150-ish, 125-ish, pretty quick. Combination of the injury and also just the general NBA market taking a downturn. So that was purchased at a very bad time. I got a little unlucky for the injury. They were probably going to come down anyway because of the market coming down. So that's another situation where, yeah, I could have just sold it for the loss immediately, but that was a play specifically when I bought it. I said, if this does not go up for the playoffs, if it does not get a playoff bounce, I am perfectly fine holding it for next season. So far he has gotten a little playoff bounce, but the card prices were so hurt from the injury and the market downturn that it's going to take a lot to get back to even on that. So that one's going to be tricky. But like I said, when I bought those cards, it was dual purpose. It gave me a way to sell if Mitchell made a massive run through the NBA finals like they did last year, where he was going off like crazy and leads the team onward, which could absolutely still happen. Those cards could still spike up above the prices that I paid for them. That is absolutely in play. But I had the backup plan of, it's Donovan Mitchell. I'm not going to care if I hold him in the next season. Now, maybe with the downswing in the market, I still end up losing my ass on those cards. We'll see what happens. Nobody knows at this point. I don't know where the floor would be on those couple cards, like if they would get bounced or whatever this round against the Clippers, or if they make it through the Clippers, which I think they will, and make it to the Western Conference Finals. Can they get back up to their former glory? And then if I could get even on them, maybe at that point in time, I would say, okay, you know what? Let me move out of these and into the next thing. I don't know. I don't know how I would handle that if they got back to even. So, like I said, hopefully this was helpful for you guys and girls just to kind of walk through my mental process, specifically around the Watson card, and how I turned what was a negative play into a semi-positive / break-even play. In the end, I netted out an Acuna first Bowman out of the deal, basically. I spent $1,250 on the Watson, sold it for 900, spent, because I had the 900, spent another around $1,200 on 3 Acuna Bowman Chromes. Because I had 3, I was able to sell 2 at $150 profit on each, netting out about $300. So now my original 900, I'm back to square for the 900 or the 300 that I lost. And then I could have sold the third Acuna, but I decided to send that one home. So the net result is an Acuna first Bowman Chrome sitting on my desk that I did not have previously. And like I said, if I did not have that money freed up, if I just sat on the Watson, I would have only been able to purchase one first Bowman and just make the 150 bucks off that, and not a second 150, and not send a card home to myself. So sometimes you got taken on the chin. It sucks. It's not fun, but you got to weigh all your options, read the room, and do what makes the most sense for you. Everyone's situation is different. There is no correct answer to this on when to sell, let alone when to sell at a loss. When to sell at a profit is a hard enough decision on its own because you always get greedy and think it's going to go up more. But when to sell at a loss is even trickier, in my opinion, because a lot of people want to keep their faith for the reason that they made the decision and think that the card price will get back to where it was. They're overly optimistic. And in most cases, I don't know that that's the case, especially with this case. Like I said, interesting circumstances, specifically around the Watson play. Um, but it is what it is. Sell it, make the best of it, and make the next play count. So, like I said, hope this was helpful. That's all I have for you guys and girls today. Like, comment, subscribe. If you want to check out Star Stock, the code's down there. The Market Movers code is down there, and also the eBay affiliate link. We will catch you guys and girls on the next one.